The most explosive celebrity marriage since Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Well, it turned into a celebrity court case of the century as well, as Amber Heard, Hollywood actress, and Pirates of the Caribbean star Johnny Depp battled each other over allegations of domestic abuse. So who were the winners and losers? How did things get so bad for this troubled pair who were at one point so deeply in love and arguably the most attractive couple on the planet? This amazing story is tackled in a stunning new book by Nick Wallis. And Nick Wallis joins me now. Hi, Nick.
Hi there, Mark.
Great to have you on the show. Nick, can you give me the full title of the book, please?
Yes, it's Depp v. Heard, the Unreal Story. We settled on that because it's both real and unreal at the same time.
Yes, indeed. Tell me what's behind that title, because essentially their relationship was a paradox, wasn't it?
It wasn't. It was also two completely contrasting narratives which split apart viciously when the couple went their separate ways in the middle of 2016. It had been an almost a fairy tale story, at least as far as we knew until 2016. But of course, what came out in the subsequent court cases was all the allegations of violence which Amber Heard made against Johnny Depp and drug taking and bad behavior, and his protestations that he was a completely innocent party. And so once that started spiraling out, the reason it became both real and unreal was because I was in court both in the UK and this time last year, in fact, in Virginia, hearing these very clearly laid out narratives from people in court making their own testimony with their supporting witnesses, which were utterly at odds with each other, and trying to hold these competing narratives in your head at the same time and make sense of them and turn them into anything that made sense was that unreal experience, especially when the whole of America became gripped by this case. In fact, the whole world became gripped by the case because the courtroom shenanigans were being televised.
Well, absolutely right. And look, early doors, they were very much in love. But to what extent was substance abuse an issue in their marriage, do you think?
Well, Amber Heard said that both her parents were addicts. And when she met Johnny Depp, he was largely clean. And the first year of their relationship, she said that he wasn't drinking and he wasn't taking many drugs. He's always said that he likes to smoke marijuana. But he fell off the wagon, and she said that he started to black out. He started to behave in violent ways when he'd lost control of his faculties because of the amount of mind-expanding drugs and alcohol that he'd been taking. So she sees his drug use as a key reason behind the violence and his denials, because he simply didn't know what he was doing. Now, he says there's absolutely no way that he could have hit a woman, and that she was actually nagging him and trying to provoke him and gaslighting him. And the way that he presented his case last year in Virginia was that she was the abusive partner. She was the one who was causing all his problems. She was actually trying to manipulate him and say that if you don't give me what I want, then I'm going to go to the public and say that you've been abusing me. So again, I mean, the book was an exercise in pulling together these wildly disparate narratives and actually looking at the evidence, not just the testimony, not just the witness evidence, but the contemporaneous documentary evidence. And there are thousands of pages of that, and trying to actually piece together who could or who might have been telling the truth about each specific contested incident over the course of their relationship. Because eventually Amber Heard went to court in 2020 when she was the star witness for the Sun newspaper in their libel trial against Johnny Depp, and detailed more than a dozen violent incidents against him throughout the course of their relationship.
Yes, and of course that case was brought against our own Dan Wootton as well. Dan and the Sun were victorious. Johnny Depp went on to defeat Amber Heard. Who have been the winners and losers in this whole saga, do you think?
The lawyers.
Right.
I mean, there have been tens of millions of pounds expended on both sides of the Atlantic on some of the finest legal minds in the business. And whether it has served Johnny Depp or Amber Heard very well as a result, I don't know. But Johnny Depp said at the beginning of his trial in the US, he said, I've been waiting 6 years for the opportunity to tell my truth. Now, he was in court, obviously, for 4 days back in the UK in 2020, but he was being cross-examined. So he was being challenged on his version of the truth. Whereas in the US, they start with a direct examination before they go to cross-examination. So he was given time by his lawyers live on worldwide television to set out exactly why he is not a wife beater in his view, and why the jury in Virginia should find him or should find for him in his libel claim against Amber Heard, which they eventually did.
Nick, your book has been described as unputdownable. It's also an important historic document in terms of showbiz. Only got a couple of seconds. Has Johnny Depp got any money left? Because he made tens of millions of pounds as an actor, didn't he?
Oh, he was one of Hollywood's highest paid stars at the beginning of the 20-teens. And he was making tens of millions of dollars on each episode or each franchise of the Pirates of the Caribbean series. So he had money to burn. The problem was his expenditure, even before his legal troubles, was huge. He was burning through $300,000 a month on his island in the Bahamas.
He was on the road to ruin. Well, Nick, let me tell you, your book is out now. Nick Wallis is the author of Depp versus Heard, The Unreal Story. Grab yourself a copy. I'll be dealing with Prince Harry next.